Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the Habitual Evaluation. My name is David Granada. I am from Goliath Performance, and today we are going through 4 archetypes for men that have helped me through my life and learning, understanding, reading a certain book called King, Warrior, Magician and Lover by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette, based off psychology, I believe, from Carl Jung, and bouncing these ideas though around from my upbringing with my 2 brothers. So we're about 1 year apart and very, very close, obviously growing up. But I found like we have sort of bounced off each other with each other's strengths and weaknesses, going through different aspects through life, and these archetypes have sort of helped me understand how to navigate through all that and work on, especially the weaknesses, or what is mentioned in this book is the shadows. So a shadow is obviously the other part of us being a human. We have the being side, and then we have the other part which we generally just don't want to look at or acknowledge, and this is my understanding of that through the 4 archetypes that I'm going to be presenting forward, and how I've sort of like got that all together. So with myself and my 2 brothers, I'm in the middle. So I've got my older brother Daniel, Dan, Big Dan. Then I've got Michael, the youngest one, Big Mike. So there's us 3 brothers. So let's get straight into it. So we're going to start with the King archetype. So that's the very first one. The shadows for the King archetypes, the very first one is a tyrant. I don't know if you watched the recent show House of Dragons. You got the one eye patch, one of the younger brothers, and even the mother sort of mentions that of how much of an unkind tyrant he actually is, and that apparently the very youngest brother is the only kindest one. So that's basically what a tyrant is, who is very unkind and very controlling. When I say shadow though, so there's an active pole and then there's a passive pole. So the active pole of the shadow basically means it's more aggressive in nature. So it's active, it's aggressive, and then the passive pole is basically just that. It's very passive. And the King shadow, so you got the tyrants, and then you have the weakling prince. With these words, don't get too caught up in them, but basically that's what they're pointing towards. Is the King is right at the top, and then you got the tyrant, and then obviously the weakling prince. With myself in life, so the King for myself that I've always looked up to has always been my older brother Daniel. So he's always been loved and cherished quite easily with people around him. He's able to create relationships and bonds with anyone very easily. So that's the type of person that he is. But to be a king is obviously to look after your domain and everyone that you're sort of looking after. So to obviously to be a protector, provider, and to obviously support them as well. Being a tyrant is not the way to go about that. Definitely my brother Daniel is definitely not that. Being a weakling prince, so someone that's easy to walk over, someone that doesn't hold themselves with what they say they're going to do. That's the shadow part of that as well. With myself, that's where I've really sort of looked into that as well. And obviously having an older brother that I'm very close with, I'm a very good, not a follower, but a very good listener and learner. And obviously especially what Daniel tells me what to do, I'm going to be doing it without asking a question. That's how I am myself. But then when I'm a leader, leading from the front, I like to think that I hold myself in a very high regard, and I truly care about every single person that's in my circle, my little circle, and providing them obviously with the support and being a protector. That's basically my role, I feel like, especially in my family. That's who I am. Let's go to the second one. So the second one is interesting, the magician. I don't like the word magician. It doesn't work for me because I feel like it's a trickster. For me, I use alchemist, someone that can transform anything into the better good. And I feel like myself, I've always been the know-it-all or the person, the go-to person in regards to most things. That I obviously specialize. I've always been into books and reading from a very young age. Struggled at school, probably didn't learn anything at school. I went to a great school, a Catholic all-boys school, but I was sleeping the whole time. Let's be real here. So as soon as I left school, I was able to get into self-discovery, self-development, mastery, just basically reading any sort of book that would help me, and that's pretty much helped the magician or the alchemist within myself. So let's get into the shadows. The shadows for the magician, so you got the active side is the what's it called? The know-it-all trickster. So the ones that just always have an opinion about something without anyone asking them. Then the passive side for the magician. What is that one? So the passive side is basically someone that just lacks knowledge. I can't think of the name right now, but it's the opposite of that. So someone that doesn't go out there to learn enough in their current field and struggles with that as well. Doesn't know the inner workings of everything around them. That's how I would put that one. That's the second one. So the second archetype is the magician or the alchemist, as I like to call it. Then we go to the third one. So the third one is the warrior. So warrior, or what I like to call dangerous men of our times. So a modern warrior, someone that does practice in any form of martial arts, does know his limits, does know what he's capable of, does like to test himself regularly as well. I believe that's what makes a warrior in their fullness. And then if you're not doing any of that, then you're definitely going to be falling below into the shadows. And the reason being is that you don't keep yourself honest with your capabilities, and then obviously standing up for someone that's obviously like mistreating someone else or bullying or something you just don't agree with. That's what I sort of look at as well. So the warrior is very interesting though. So I think even with my two brothers, we've all helped each other out mostly with the warrior aspect within ourselves, that we always keep each other in check. So if one of us is out of line, if we're saying something, or if we're just being a bit stupid or aggressive in an unnecessary way, then one of us will sort of step up and keep us in check. So that's where we've helped each other out in that area. The shadows. Let's talk about the shadows with the warrior. So the active pole with the warrior is someone that's obviously very aggressive and pretty much is looking for fights, looking to compare himself with other people to make sure that he is capable with his own mental image of him, his inner warrior, let's say. Then you got the passive pole. So the passive pole is someone that doesn't, I guess, know his capabilities or doesn't understand any sort of martial arts in the theory aspect at least, or know his capabilities anyway. I think I'll probably stay with that one. With the third and final one, so we got the lover. So that's a big one. Obviously, it's the one that energizes the other ones. So without being in touch with your lover, you're not energizing the other three archetypes. And that one there, I would say, is more of my little brother, funny enough. He's definitely the lover, the larrikin, the one that we sort of go towards in terms of those type of things. So in the family, with the lover as well, the shadows. Anyway, let's talk about the shadows. The active side of the shadow is the addictive lover. That's quite interesting in terms of you using different addictions, food, sex, wine, alcohol, to mask your inner, I guess, like emptiness or things that you just don't want to acknowledge that are inside you. So that's the active pole. Then you got the passive pole, which is the impotent lover. That's quite interesting as well. So the impotent lover means they have no zest for life. They speak in a monotone. They have a flat effect. So the effect that they obviously put out there and give out there is very flat, and generally find it hard to build trusting and long relationships as well. Those are the 4 archetypes. Now, in the old times, looking back in the old times, I believe it's a lot easier to integrate. So that's what it's all about, integrating as a king, using the other 3 archetypes to build into obviously a man today. In today's world, obviously there's a lot of being uncomfortable with the male dominance or male aggression, or working on yourself as well. Even men themselves, like, reaching out and understanding where you're at the moment. Labels, I think it's another another setback. Labeling yourself, you got the sigma. Who cares or knows what that means? Then you got like introvert and extrovert. Don't be labeling yourself anything that's anything less or more than what you are. So that's my perspective, how I see it. I think today it's so easy to put yourself into a category and not see the full picture, not work out what you need to obviously work on as an individual, as a person. And that's been my self-discovery of putting myself out there, seeking help from a counselor. I'm always in touch with my counselor. I try to go at least once every year, and in between those year of seeing my counselor, there's just so much growth and so much to learn from each and every time. Reading books, so get off the phone and pick up a book. Make that a habit. Change what you're currently doing and read different books. I've only started reading books on relationships, intimate relationships, close relationships. So read different areas of different aspects that make you a fuller and complete man in today's world and society, and you would be better off with that than not being capable. I think that's the word I've been using quite a lot, and it's true. So you have to be capable in most areas of your life. If you're lucky enough, if you were blessed like me, you had close, supportive family network or upbringing as well. I did truly have a very good upbringing. Both my parents gave me everything and more than what I could ask for. That helps as well. Getting into team sports, definitely underrated for some reason. Playing in team sports, you bring the best out of other people, but they also help you bring the best out of yourself. So go and play some football. Touch is very big. But then you got martial arts as well. I reckon boxing is great. Also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can roll. So it's like sparring, but rolling, and you tap other people out. You tap them out or they tap you out. That's the whole idea. I think the rounds go for like 5 minutes. And how amazing is that? Like doing that 2-3 times a week. That's what it's all about. With the boxing, I wouldn't say go that way. So I've been down that road, and the sparring is just constant head hits. I would definitely much prefer go to mixed martial arts, where not all the damage is going to go straight to your head. So learn those forms of physical expressions that you can obviously grow as an individual. Get into reading. Writing is also great as well. Journaling. And understand where you currently are. Be honest with yourself, where you currently are at, and don't label yourself as well. I think labeling is just so common these days, and I just don't get it. I don't understand why people identify with certain labels, and there's always new ones, and it's just a setback. It's just an easy way to sort of put yourself in a little box and say, I can't do something because that's the type of person I am. Get out of that box. Go and be someone else, and grow from there. Have a growth mindset. That's it for today. This one is a bit more, I guess, personal. I tried to recap miserably, I guess, with a few of the shadows. It's been a while since I actually got into that, so I might need to recap myself. But it's one of the first things I sort of got into, and yeah, go read. Don't read that book. It's actually quite hard. Do not read that book. Go on Google, type it in, get a free PDF, or go on a few websites. You got The Art of Manliness, and there's a few other ones. There's 2 other ones that I actually printed off just from the web pages, and it's more modern, it's more easier to understand, and it's more in line with what's happening today. It's definitely in line with what was, I guess, what's happening with myself in that point in time. And I still got that, and I still look into that, and I try and talk to this about whether it's with my fiance, whether it's with obviously my brothers. I brought it up with them, and they were like, "Wow, what's all this about?" And then we had like a massive conversation and discussion about Daniel being more of the king. Like, he is the head of my pack, my family, and then you've got the alchemist, the magician, and then the warrior. So that's basically myself, what I've always been in tune to. And then you got the lover, of course, and that's always been my youngest brother, Michael. So how us three have sort of worked around each other's strengths and weaknesses, especially when we're together. Now we've got our own little families coming along as well, so it's a beautiful, great time, and all three of us have grown into refined gentlemen, I think. So it's been really good, but learning from each other has been the best sort of gift that all three of us probably could have been given. And mainly for myself anyway, I do take notes, I do look into this, I do observe. And yeah, go on Google and type in King, Warrior, Magician and Lover. Sorry, it's King, Magician, Warrior, Lover. And look at different articles, have a read through it. And this is all in a different time, but it's very powerful for today. That's it from me. Thank you for joining.